All right, we're live. Marshall, welcome, man. How
Appreciate
you
it.
how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, buddy. How about you?
I'm doing great. I know you're busy with this event coming up 3 weeks away. Um, how exciting is that for you as a promoter to put together this such a big event? I mean, you guys have so much going on. We're going to get a little in depth with this tonight as we talk. But how's things going?
Good, good. We've been planning this for a long time, and it seems like it's kind of on autopilot now. Everything's kind of in place. Um, Everybody knows what to do and where to be. So I am excited for it. I'm excited to be done planning it and actually, have the event at this point.
So what gets you into the sport? Tell us a little bit about how you got into arm wrestling.
So, back when I was in high school and college, everybody just kind of arm wrestled. It was kind of a guy thing to do. But we didn't really know much. We didn't know what we were doing. And in some respects, I still don't. But it always just seemed like kind of the guy thing to do, man. It was a part of everyday life in the circles that I traveled in. And, a few years back here, we had all this COVID shutdown crap going on. And I was sitting in a bar, and the bar was kind of emptied out. Wasn't much going on. And I was just kind of in casual conversation with the bar owner. And I said, you know what we ought to do, man? We ought to get an arm wrestling tournament going in here. There was really nothing in our area. And I had to end up going all the way to Cincinnati to get, which is, it's about 200 miles away, to get Randall Bladen with Stump Crew to come up and start throwing some tournaments in our area. And the first one, I think we had 140 entries or something, close to that. And it's just kind of taken off from there. Now we've got regular tournaments and kind of decided to kick it up a notch with this one here, the Buckeye Brawl. And really kind of bring people in from further away and get out of the rut of the same guys always arm wrestling each other. The same guys in an area. That's not very exciting to me when I see super matches, and it's the same old crew, that's kind of swirling around. So on this one, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to really put some people together that would have no other reason to be together.
Yeah, man, that's really amazing because it's nice to see like different matchups and on a big stage, as well too, because it gives an opportunity to see guys pulling that maybe haven't been in the sport a long time and give them some matchups with some well-known guys. And also you get a bunch of different matchups here, and you kind of, like you said, it's not the same guys, the same elite guys pulling different matches in different events. So I'm going to share the screen. I'm just going to bring up the Facebook page just so that people can get an idea. Now, when did you put your first event on?
Well,
What
this
year?
is going to be our first solo event. We were working with Stump Crew out of Cincinnati.
Okay.
For the last 3 or 4. Now we've had some local events. Don't get me wrong, but this is our first big event, and we wanted to really kind of come out of the hole strong.
So tell us a little bit about the place that it's at.
So the place that it's at, it's kind of a typical local bar. A lot of these tournaments happen in bars, and this one's not really any different. There's a little bit of an energy that kind of comes with packing a bar versus having a tournament in the middle of an open warehouse or something like that. It's not like a huge sprawling fancy complex or anything like that, but when you're watching some of these super matches on YouTube, you would never really know much about the context. All you would see is the match, and you would feel the energy from a place being kind of packed up with a lot of testosterone. So kind of a typical neighborhood bar. we've got a hall a couple doors down that we rent for overflow seating. So we have the capacity to, to handle quite a few people, but it'll definitely be packed.
Is this the same venue that we saw last year's event at, where we had
yeah, it is. We've had I think we've had 3 tournaments in this same venue now.
and guys out there, if you haven't seen the match between Brandon L. Seltzer and Roger, that was a really exciting matchup, and you can see and you can feel the energy watching the match in that tight quarters. It's really amazing. I really enjoyed that. And then when you messaged me and offered me a match, and I was telling you who I wanted to pull, it's just ironic that I was kind of inspired by that match that you guys had last year. And I just looking forward to being a part of this great event. As you see here, we have the pro class right and left. Now, when you say a cap of 120 entries, that's it, 120 entries for the tournament?
Yeah, so that's the pro side. It is kind of more of a target.
I think you went away from your mic a little bit. I can't hear you now.
Yeah, is that
There
any
you go.
better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of a target. It's a little bit of a moving target. I mean, if we get in there and we've got 120 and 3 more people show up, we're going to let them in.
Yeah.
We're not going to. It's more of a guideline than anything else. It relates to how we use the time and the space, and really wanting to pump the pro class full of just a lot of good pullers. So kind of a quality over quantity sort of situation. But yeah, it should be a pretty good turnout. There's a few things that we can never control, of course, but we've got good people coming in from every direction really for this one.
Who are some of the guys that are helping you out as far as getting this event rolling?
So I work with Adam Soboleski. He's kind of been helping me out and doing some of the graphics and the advertising and whatnot, and he'll be there the day of. And then we've got kind of a crew. We've got 4 referees that we're bringing in. Some of them from a couple hundred miles away. So we've got a full staff of refs. We've got Tim Lewis coming in to help out with the brackets, and handling that side. Todd Allen Jackson will be up, and he'll do some of the commentary on the amateur side. So there's quite a few people that have their hands in the pudding, so to speak, on this event. And I think that's kind of the way that it should be. It's some of these things are too much for any one person to kind of sit on.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. It takes a team effort to polish these events and have them run successfully. Are you guys going to be live streaming the event as well?
We will. We're going to live stream it. Our primary objective with the live stream is for the people who are traveling in from out of town. So if they have people back at home that want to watch this that can't come, we want to make sure that they can. We haven't made a final decision on releasing the live stream locally, because sometimes your attendance can suffer if people can stay home and watch the live stream. So we'll definitely have something, but we're still working on the kind of final version of what it's going to be.
So the time schedule here, we have like the super matches are going to pop off at 12:30, and then you're going to run the men's pro right class at 1, and then at 2 the men's pro left, 3 women's class, and then 4 p.m. the amateur triple elimination. That sounds like an exciting event for the amateurs out there.
Yeah, it is, man. I kind of wanted to do a triple elimination because in the amateur side, and really even in the pro side, sometimes a guy just makes a kind of a simple mistake or something like that, and then they're out of the tournament, and that's not much fun. So we wanted to give them just a little bit more of a shot, for some of the guys who are new to this, kind of just to make a better experience and give them a little bit more table time. So I think it'll work out a little bit better than a standard double elimination. We're a little less forgiving on the pro side, it's still your standard double elimination.
And you have some great sponsors. Tell us a little bit about the sponsors.
Yeah, so we've got, of course, Jed's. They've been pretty good. We've had 3 events there, like I say, and they host it, they sponsor it, so that's good. We've got Miller Brothers Construction, Glick Construction, my company, Marshall Thompson Trucking, and we've got a few others that are involved in it. And that's kind of what really makes these things happen, because we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing if we didn't have sponsors to really handle some of this. It's difficult to bring people in to an event when a lot of the people are coming in from so far away.
Now tell us about how you pick these matchups. Like tell us a little bit about the history, how you went about looking at these matchups. I mean, what a great card here, and really excited to see Stephen Green back, man. That's amazing. Yeah. I'm excited to be there to watch him pull. Chris is a great friend of mine as well, and I'm really excited to watch that matchup.
Yeah, so like case by case, man. Like so we got Dave Shea and Roger Cunningham, and that was a match that's been kind of trying to happen for a little while. And it was canceled a while back, and then there were some injuries along the way. And those two have kind of committed to arm wrestling each other before they arm wrestle anybody else. That match is to decide who the overall right-hand top puller is in Michigan. So it's been trying to happen for a while, and I reached out to Dave and talked to him a little bit, and Dave's very helpful, even with some of the other matches. But both Dave and Roger, they want this match to happen, and it's been a long time coming. And it's, like I say, it's going to decide who the number 1 right-hander in the whole state of Michigan is. So that's pretty cool that we got that.
And Rogers had that title for, I think Dave was telling me today, the past 3 years. So that's a real great matchup.
Yeah, it is, dude. And there's 2 different types of pullers there too, and obviously they're both strong. But Dave's strength is that he is just big and strong, and Roger is like a technical genius on the table. And the thing we've seen time and time again with Roger is if people take him lightly, it usually makes a bad day for him, because this guy, he just seems to find a way. On paper, Dave's he's a bigger guy. He's got a bigger forearm and a bigger arm. So you'd think, well, the big guy wins. But I don't know. I can never count Roger out of anything after seeing some of the things that he's done. So super tough match, and it's up in the air. I don't think anybody's going to be able to predict it.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's going to be exciting, man. And like you said, Roger has this type of look to him where he's tall, lanky, but for a 220, floating in that zone, I mean, his body type is really efficient at that weight.
Yeah, and it's kind of cliche to say, but it's like whoever gets to play their game, is the one that's going to win the match, really.
Yeah, it's a hooker versus top roller for sure matchup.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I really like the mystery of it, because I have no damn clue, who's gonna win that match. I can kind of theorize how I think it could go, but it could go 2 different ways. So you're right back where you started, really.
Yeah.
But then our sweet spot is kind of as I see it, our sweet spot is kind of like making matches that are a little bit of an opportunity too. So if we look at some of our other matches, one that's pretty neat is this BJ Fokakis and DJ Fenton. Okay, so obviously we probably all know BJ. He's been on TV, been at the Monster Factory, and kind of doing some stuff. Not everybody knows DJ, but DJ's this big, strong dude that's been kind of creeping around our area, beating the pants off of a lot of people. And he hasn't really seemed to break through to the big stage, in like the North American top 20. But everybody kind of thinks that he's going to be there one way or another sooner or later. So this should be a pretty good opportunity for him, to have a match with a guy. And again, I don't know, BJ's coming in probably 350 pounds. I don't know, maybe what he is, 6'5" or something like that. So there's nothing to take lightly there. So DJ's definitely going to have his hands full, but it's really cool that, that it gives DJ an opportunity to have a straight up legit match with a guy who's ranked and has a reputation already.
With BJ coming off the loss to Chance Shaw, man, he's going to be hungry to really, kick off the 2023 season in high gear,
Yeah. And anytime you have these matches, they're kind of risky for the guy who should be on top or on paper is on top, because that's a kind of a huge setback if you go into a match and you lose one. But then if you're going to lose two potentially, it's a bigger problem, but it's all part of the game too. So everybody kind of knows how that goes.
No, absolutely.
But that one is another one. These guys they're 1,000 miles apart, and they're two big, strong pullers. And, the guys around here will tell you how strong DJ is, and the guys down there will tell you how big and strong BJ is. And we're just going to have to find out. Hopefully the strap goes around their hands.
Going to be a lot of horsepower on the table.
For sure. And then, after that one, we've got Jason Robinette and Darren Bills. And these are two of our guys that are kind of up here, and they're both good pullers. They haven't really broke through the big stage yet, but they're both excellent pullers. Consistently top of the state rankings or close to it. So that one's more of a personal match between them, but it'll be a good match too. And everybody that's arm wrestled either of them guys, has a respect for them and knows that they're pretty good.
Oh yeah, both are super strong, man. Especially Darren in the hook. I mean, it's this is going to be an interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys pull as well.
Yeah, and those are two names that you're going to be hearing for a while. They're not going away. They both proven to be pretty durable, and they've been around for a while, and they always seem to be up for it. So,
and Darren's he's ranked in the top. I think he's like in the top 10, maybe 12 in North America. So, yeah.
So I don't know. That's another one. Anybody's guess as far as I'm concerned. So, and we got Jellings and Green. Of course, you mentioned Green kind of shaking it off and coming back, and everybody that ever had a match that I've talked to with Green felt that he was pretty damn legit, and if you go back and you look at some of the YouTube videos and some of the guys that he was arm wrestling, they were top level guys. So I'd say he's probably gripped up with about everybody, besides what you can see on YouTube or whatever. So no shortage of experience and no shortage of ability there. So, obviously Chris is good too. That's another match that I don't know. How do you predict it, really?
I have some good insight on these two because they both came down to Florida. Chris comes down every year. We usually get together and pull and train, and I see such an improvement each year. He comes down and visit, and he's in vacation mode, so it's not the real deal of that version. But yeah, it's super improving. And Stephen Green, man, he came down and trained with me probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and I know he had an injury. I mean, he was right up there with Devin Larrett at the WAL. I mean, he really was at the cream of the crop there. Him and Nick Zena, training partners. Just a phenomenal athlete, super strong. I mean, I remember we had a chest workout and he was just repping 315 like it was nothing. And but he had some injuries, a little bit injuries, and I feel like he's coming back. He must be healthy. He's one of those guys that he's trains in silence. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden you just see him show up, but the guy puts in work when he's focused on an event. So yeah, man, that's going to be a great matchup. And that's Chris, man. That's a great opportunity for him to have a matchup with Stephen Green. And man, that would be a huge win for him.
Yeah, and my feeling, and I don't know him, but my feeling with Steven is that this is a guy who can just roll out of bed and brawl. You know, I feel like it's not going to be a huge factor if he hasn't been super active. I just get the feeling that this guy's, you know, he just has enough natural ability that he's going to give problems to anybody at any level. I mean, I think it was, I think he had a match with Don Underwood a while back, and you know, Don Underwood's he's a ranked super heavyweight. I don't know what his rank is, but he's up there. So that should give you a little bit of a clue, you know, what Steven's actually capable of, besides all the other matches that he's had too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But then we've got obviously your match is kind of in my opinion, it's kind of a headline match. And what a story from the time when we made that match to where we're at now with Brandon. Man, he's been moving all over the place. And I guess East versus West is you know, on the agenda now. So that's another match that's going to be really interesting. And you know, it's a good opportunity. I've heard you say it. And it is a good opportunity to potentially have an upset or anything really. So I don't know
sure.
with that one, you know,
well,
that
you
I
know,
was here to make
I know Brendan, he's the favorite, of course. I mean, you know, he's the number one 200-pound arm wrestler. He was ranked 6th in the 220. That's why originally when you asked me if I wanted to come out and pull someone, it was, you know, I wanted to either pull him or Roger. It was an opportunity that I would never get to pull a guy ranked ahead of me, you know, because I think I'm ranked 11th or 12th now. So, you know, just it's like the Super Bowl for me. You know, it's amazing. I would never get an opportunity to pull Brandon in any other event, you know, and I know the prize money, you know, is tantalizing for him to come, you know what I mean? Because
Sure.
you know, he really there's like a lot of these matchups. So I see a lot of opportunity for guys to make a name for themselves. And that's how I'm looking at it. You know, I look at, you know, Brandon's resume is, I mean, I've been researching. I mean, I've been a fan of his, you know, ever since he's been in the sport. You know, we've been in the sport. I think I've been in the sport a little bit longer than him, but you know, I've been watching him and he's been amazing, man, on a tear. I mean, when you look at who he's beaten, I mean, people think that I'm going to just get destroyed, you know, and I think, you know, I understand that, you know, and, you know, I was talking to Dave today about the matchup itself, and, you know, he made a good point. It's like, you know, I have nothing to lose, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have nothing to lose. And I really needed something like this to really motivate me to train hard. And, you know, I've been working hard. I've been training hard. I know Brandon's been training hard. You know, he's training with Dave Shafee. I mean, I know that this guy's coming. And, you know, I'm just looking forward to seeing where I stand, pulling guys, you know, in that top 10. I mean, legitimately top 10, you know, because sometimes you have these guys that aren't very, they're not very active. And then you can catch them off the couch. And then all of a sudden you're ranked in the top, you know, 10. And I feel like that's not a legitimate ranking for me. Like, for example, I beat Doug Allen. That version of Doug Allen was coming off the couch. So it made me, you know, I was ranked 8th, but I really feel like this is an opportunity to see if I can really hang with the top 10 guys in North America at 220. And I mean, it's amazing. We saw what Brandon and Craig just did. I mean, what a war that, you know, Brandon cut all that weight, and you know, he's just phenomenal athlete, and it's just an honor to compete against him. And I'm real grateful that you guys, gave me this opportunity. And, I'm not taking this match lightly, and I'm coming to win. That's the whole reason why we compete. It's not to come home, with second place, so I invested a lot of time, sacrificed a lot of time and, energy to put into this matchup. And, I'm super excited, man. 3 weeks to go. I leave, I'll be flying around this time, in 3 weeks, man. And I'm super excited. First time traveling in 5 years. I haven't been to another state besides Alabama or Mississippi where I've driven to. So I'm real excited to be a part of this event. And, I see all the hard work you guys have been putting into it. I was just rewatching, like the match last year with Roger and Brandon, and, just the whole electricity, the whole, I like it. I just like it. It's definitely a brawl, man. It's got that atmosphere for sure.
Yeah, and it needs to be said too that this really is kind of a dangerous match for Brandon, because if you look at where he's at, just having a win over Tullier and going to East versus West, if the number 12 guy would come up from out of state and do something to him on the table, that's a tough situation for a guy in his position. So I know that he's going to look at that, and he's not going to take that match light at all. He's going to be coming with everything he's got, because he really doesn't want to, I wouldn't think, kind of get caught with his pants down in this match.
No, this version that I think that I'll be pulling will be one of the better versions. I feel like he wants to make a statement. I feel like he has a lot on the line. Just like you said, if you got the guy that is ranked 12th, giving you trouble, even a win on him is a big victory for me. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like I said before, puts a little pressure, but I know he's confident, and he should be confident. I mean, he's the number one guy now, and, he's been on a tear. He's beaten the who's who of arm wrestling, man. And to beat Craig, man, that's just hats off. But styles make matchups, and, I'm not, my style is, definitely going to be different than Craig and a lot of the other guys. I don't see him pulling a lot of, strong-handed hookers recently. So, I pulled Brandon when he came to Florida after he pulled Chance. I mean, I'm not going to take anything from that, because basically everybody beat him at that tournament, but he had an off day. So that just tells me that, that can happen. We're all humans. We all can have bad days. And but I know that he's going to be the best version of himself, man. And that's what motivates me, because, when you kind of have matchups with guys that you may be, ranked above or whatever, and you might think in your head, like, oh, you know what? I got this match, and you might get a little slack with training sometimes, or you might go, oh, you know what? I'll just double up tomorrow. Well, with this matchup, it's never been that. I never missed a workout. I never missed anything that I was supposed to do. And when I come to Ohio, I will be bringing the best package, the most prepared I've been for a matchup, because I know a guy at that caliber, I don't want to insult him by not putting in that effort, so it's just going to be exciting to me. I'm so looking forward to it. I'm so pumped just even thinking about it and talking about it. It's been something that I've been thinking about it for the last, I think, 12 weeks. We've signed this matchup, and I'm super excited, man. And not only that, to be able to be a fan, I'm a huge fan, and to be able to watch all these other matchups live. I mean, it's going to be incredible. And what you guys have done, helping out, sponsoring, matches, and giving arm wrestling at my level an opportunity to be a part of a great event. I mean, hats off to you guys, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, appreciate that. And the thing about arm wrestling too is anybody that's been doing it, you know how easy it is to have one little mistake or one little thing affect a match. We've all been beat by guys who, we went home and we thought, man, did I screw up? I should have beat that guy. That's embarrassing, or something like that. So it only takes, just a few little things really change the outcome of any match. So for anybody to think that any match is like a walk in the park, really they have to be twice as good as the other guy to be that comfortable, because so many different things can happen. So really any of these matches, to my mind, are just wide open. And that's what makes them good matches. We don't try to make junk matches, we try to make matches that are competitive, and I think we've got them.
Yeah, and also I think too is like, to elaborate a little more on what you were saying, if a guy comes in taking someone lightly, thinking that, oh, you know what, I'll beat this guy any day of the week, you could catch that guy slipping too. So it all depends on where these people are mentally. I know myself, when I'm training to have a match against someone I already think I can beat, it's not a good place for me. I have to be the underdog. All my life I've been the underdog, man. I've just been a dog, you know what I mean? I'm not here for the short time. It's all about the long view and the, just putting in that work and just grinding and keep pushing through, right? So, and I feel like that's what arm wrestling, it really can give you that opportunity to really push yourself and kind of really test yourself, man. It's an amazing sport.
And there's other factors too, like these peripheral factors where, we got guys traveling in and they're a little out of their element. So, who handles that the best can also be a contributing factor in these matches. If a guy's, out of sorts or something like that, because he's not in his own backyard where he's used to arm wrestling or something like that. I mean, it's a factor. I know you're coming up from Florida, man, and you're used to probably, I don't know what, 65, 70 degrees this time of year, be coming up here in the middle of winter and, to a foreign place. And there's any number of things involved in this stuff that it all adds up at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. And that was a big thing. I heard Derek Smith talking about last night on the FAL hangout, was talking about just the traveling to Turkey, how it sucks, overseas and stuff. So it's like, yeah, like you said, I mean, it's so many factors go into it, man. And when you're up there at the table Saturday, when you're at the table, that's when it matters. And that's when you have to just make sure that you execute everything perfectly. It doesn't matter what happens, days before, you have to adapt to any situation. But what matters is when you get to the table, how you're feeling and how you can execute that. And I really feel that's super important. I meant to say something too while we were talking about the event. You guys are giving a ton of prize money away. And I see, just want to bring up the screen one more time here, just to, you're giving away, tell us a little bit about this, $1,000 to the best puller.
Yeah, so we're different from other tournaments, and we definitely want to stand out. So this is a sport, and it's a sport with people who train just as hard or harder than other sports. So if you look at the time that people are putting in, we want to incentivize that. We want to make this a good poll, and really it's kind of a message not only to the pollers but to the other tournaments. Hey, you better get your act together, because this is what the future of arm wrestling is going to look like. And I think in a few more years, this is going to look like chump change. Honestly, when things really take off in arm wrestling, if it goes the way that say MMA went, back in the day, this stuff's going to get way more competitive, not only on the pulling end, but it's going to get competitive on the promoter side. And if a guy's not able to finance and put together a good tournament, I think they're going to be out on their ass, frankly.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this really does set the standard and, can really show other promoters out there what you can give back to the pullers, sort of like what's going on here with what they're doing with the FAL, making things look more professional. So it gives a better opportunity for sponsors to come in where we can give away large amounts of prize money. This year alone, we're going to be giving away 10 grand. So, it's just like seeing this stuff really gives more ideas for people out there to be able to really push and help the pullers out there. I mean, you never see $1,000 given to the best pro puller. I mean, that's just insane. Plus
Well,
all the prize money you're giving away at the tournament itself. I mean, a lot of people, I feel like after this tournament, I feel like this is just going to get the ball rolling for you guys.
Yeah, I'll tell you something, man. When I see some of these tournaments and I see guys going and taking matches, like guys who are ranked and they're good at arm wrestling and they're taking matches for nothing, just hey, I'm just going to show up and we'll just pull, and somebody just asks them to show up and they do it, and there's not any prize money or anything. It kind of makes me sick. I kind of feel like it's a disservice to the pullers. If you're that good, man, you gotta expect something out of the deal. So
it's funny you say that, because there's people out there that complain about people like not coming to tournaments because of like there's no money or whatever. And it's always people that, number one, aren't even in that elite level. They're just kind of like trolls that are kind of just complaining about it. But I've been seeing it a lot more lately. Like, we're going to give an event for charity, which charities is such a shady statement to make anyway, when you don't even know where the charity's going, what shady characters are having the money and all this stuff. Like, it's just, to me, it's just nonsense when people talk like that. But also it's nonsense when people complain about, oh, Michael Todd won't do a tournament because he wants to get paid to show up. Well, I mean, when you're pulling in a sport for 30 years and you're a professional at that level, I mean,
Sure.
It just sets the standard for everybody else. Do you want nobody to get paid and then the sport never goes anywhere? Like, it doesn't make sense to me why people have that attitude, or they have the attitude that, oh, a promoter made $1,000 off an event. I mean, some promoters don't make any money. I get it, but there's nothing wrong with people making money and money being an incentive for pullers to come out of state to pull in events, because it's not cheap. But these people that complain are the ones that are never like presented that opportunity. So I guess they just hate, but it really kind of shows the mentality of some of the pullers out there, that they don't understand that when you're at a level like Devin Larratt or Michael Todd or Dave Shafee, they're going to want to come for some money. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they want to do, because they've already put their dues in and beat everybody to get to that level. So now they want to, make it worth their while, at least pay their trip. I mean, it's insulting to say that you're not going to pay guys at that caliber, at the elite level, to come to a tournament. It's just bizarre to me. And
no, I totally agree, man. And I just think that these tournaments are going to have to get their act together and get that solved. Frankly, I don't even know why top level guys would want to go to a tournament just for bragging rights. I mean, I can think maybe there's a few situations or they're going to get some practice out of it or something like that. But, beyond that, most of these guys are still working a 9 to 5 or doing something else because arm wrestling doesn't really pay the bills until you're a very, very top level guy. And, a lot of our matches really like that sweet spot of guys who are, say, maybe like in the top 20, but maybe not the top 3 in North America. Because a lot of times, like if we, we could probably pay John Brzezinski to come to one of our events or something like that, but he's like the greatest of all time before he came to our event. He'll be the greatest of all time after he came to our event. So it doesn't really make much difference,
Yes.
So to me, there's a lot more traction and a lot more opportunity for guys who are still kind of moving around in the sport. Maybe they'll get a lot better. Maybe they'll drop out. You never really know where they're at. But what we're doing, we've got the $1,000 giveaway, and we've got it set up for the best pro puller. And we didn't set it up as an overall. And the reason we didn't set it up for overall is because that kind of caters to like maybe the biggest, strongest guy. And there's some guys sometimes that come in at 154 and they'll just impress the hell out of you, or 176 guys or something like that. They're not going to beat Levon, but pound for pound, they may pull better than him. So that's kind of why we had it set up as a best in show award rather than an overall award. because it could be a situation then where, you just get the biggest guy who's close by decides to make a day of it, come up, beat everybody and take the money home, which is, it's fine in its own right. We just like the best in show a little bit more. And then the reality is too, with the super matches, you have to incentivize those matches or they just wouldn't happen. It's just not realistic to expect to be able to put that together without some kind of incentive. And if it's not on both sides, it's on one side or the other that somebody's going to have that expectation. And I'm totally fine with it. I think it's appropriate. It's it's really the path forward in the sport. So I think we'll stick with it. And this is going to be kind of it's going to be really kind of our model going forward, is to what I'd like to see is the Buckeye Brawl being an annual event. And we have some of the people that polled in the previous year come back the next year, and then more people come back the next year. And pretty soon it just turns into this kind of an annual elite event where we have a lot of people returning, and it gets a lot of interest. And whatever we have to do to incentivize getting people from a greater distance. I mean, I'd like to see some of these West Coast guys out here, and really bring unique people in from unique places. And it just really makes for interesting matches.
And what a great way to start off each year, man. February, having a great event like that. And
oh yeah. And up here, a lot of times February is kind of a depressing time. The days are short. It's kind of cold, and it's a good time to train. It's a good time to put your mind on something else, to get out of kind of the I don't know if I want to oversell it and call it misery, but the short days and the bad weather. So I think timing wise, it does work out pretty well too. I mean, everybody's got something to do on the 4th of July in the middle of summer. So this is situated pretty well in the calendar.
Yeah, you can get a little heavier and come in a lot stronger.
Yeah, you're putting on that winter weight just because, for sure. I do the same thing myself.
Well, I see you're training hard, man. You're making some gains, so that's good. I mean, you can really see the hard work's being put in there.
Yeah, man. I've got realistic goals, with arm wrestling for myself, and it's just kind of one foot in front of the other, slow and steady, build up and not try to go too nuts too fast. I think, maybe in a couple years here, I'll reach whatever version of myself I'm going to be. Maybe it's just a low level pro, and I'm fine with that. That's fine for me. I kind of recognize that there are some contributing factors to what makes a good arm wrestler, or the greatest arm wrestler, and there's something special going on in some of these guys' arms and some of their bodies, and the cross section of their height and weight and different things. So I'll just take it one day at a time and see where I end up as far as I'm concerned.
That's a great attitude. And I feel like with that attitude, it gives you more longevity to have reasonable goals and then progress as you accomplish those. And then, being happy wherever level you fall in, that, like myself, I've been pulling for 10 years, and, it's just, I'm realistic too. I don't have goals to go to East versus West. I have goals to do good at, events that I pull at, but, I'm realistic. And plus, with family and traveling, I mean, this is just a hobby for me. It keeps me in line with my training, gives me something to work for, pushes me. When you're tired from work and you don't want to train, but you got a match or you got a tournament coming up, I feel like that just really benefits, us all in life in general, just to have a little goal here and there to accomplish, or just to work towards, I should say, because sometimes it's more the journey than it is the end of the end result, so.
Sure. And I've never heard anybody say that's gotten into arm wrestling like bad for them psychologically or bad for him physically. Now, I guess if a guy goes out and he has an injury or something, he'd probably say that it was bad for him. But most people that get into it, it kind of does something for them mentally. It allows them to kind of straighten some shit out in their head, or whatever it is, and put their mind to something. And it kind of gives them a reason to stay in shape too. And as we get a little bit older or whatnot, that matters even more. And the cool thing about arm wrestling is, if you look at the rankings that are out there, I mean, some of the top guys in the world they're nipping right at that 60 years old number, and they're still the top guys in the world. So that's pretty encouraging, for a guy who wants to be in it for a little while to say, well, not only can I stay in this for a while, but I could actually be competitive. When I have an AARP card,
Yeah.
and even then, after that point, where does a guy go who's like, like a Ron Bath or somebody like that? He could be 80 years old and still smashing the shit out of 25-year-olds,
I know, I
as
know.
long as he wants to, So that's really the intrigue to me about the sport is, there's something there that matters even more at that stage of life, than just, being 25 and being in shape. I mean,
Yeah.
to be able to go out and crush people, at that age, I mean, that's pretty cool too. So
Oh yeah, for sure. It's an old man sport. I was listening to conversation last night. I think Derek and Brandon Morse were actually talking about, Chance, because he's going to be pulling Richard in May. And I think Richard's almost like getting close to like late 60s. And they were just talking about how if you look at the supers, for example, the top 10, Chance is like 26 like years old, and the rest of the guys I think Derek is the second youngest at 36. So it just goes to show you, like, after 40, 50, getting even in the late, look at Todd Hutchings. I mean, John, I mean,
sure.
everybody's getting close to 50 now. And like you said, Ron Bath, it's amazing. I just wanted to kind of elaborate on what you were saying about like injuries and stuff. Like, I've had 3 major injuries to the same arm, broke the left twice, tore the bicep off. And my chiropractor was working on me today because I had a little issue with my upper shoulder tendon where the bicep connects. And nothing serious, just like, from pulling or whatever. But she goes, I gotta ask you, like, how come you like still like to arm wrestle after you broke your arm twice and stuff? And I'm like, the thing about it is it's I never once thought that I wasn't gonna continue on doing this. I just I feel like it gives you a lesson that you learn in life to push through, and then you kind of learn from it. And I feel like, you have injuries, and then, I feel like there's so much positive out of that when you go through them. And I feel like it makes you stronger, so that now when I'm competing, I really appreciate arm wrestling, because when you're down a wing and you can't do anything for a few months, you kind of remember those moments, and then you're like, man, I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate being healthy and injury free now. So I feel like, if you love something, you can get injured, yourself, with your job or whatever. You could have an accident at work, you could get injured. It's part of life. So I just feel like, when you go through injuries, a broken arm, people think, oh, that's so devastating, but it's really not, man. You can mend, you can come back. And I feel like that can show other people example of, don't give up if you really love something. And people might think it's crazy, but for me, arm wrestling is more than just, it's got nothing to do with like the arm wrestling itself. I mean, yeah, that's amazing, but it's the whole process of being able to push yourself and train. And the mental thing, I feel like there's a lot of mental side of arm wrestling that's really crazy, that, you, one minute you think you're the greatest, and the next minute you're like, why am I even in this sport? And it's just kind of a yo-yo roller
Yeah.
coaster ride. And a lot of people can crumble, man. Like, when you first get in the sport and you're getting killed by 150-pound guys that, you know what I mean? Like, or like you're losing to people and you're like, man, am I ever going to get good? Like, it's such an ego bust. But when you stay in it and you go through the roller coaster, I really feel like it really teaches you a lot about life outside of the sport.
It definitely does, man. And when you come back from an injury like that's the hardest thing you're gonna do, and you've already done it. You know what I mean? So after that, it's just pulling. Everything else is easier than that. Psychologically,
it's difficult to come back from something like that. So, it kind of, I don't know, like the DNA of a person, you've kind of got to be a little bit of a stubborn son of a bitch, to really to get into arm wrestling, because you have to make it through that trial period, like you say, where you are getting crushed by smaller guys. When I started arm wrestling, I just hit 39 reps with 225 pounds on a bench press. And I was thinking I was pretty strong. I thought a lot of myself, like, wow, I'm going to go into arm wrestling and I'm going to do well. Then I got my ass kicked, and I still do, routinely. And it's very humbling, and you've really got to battle through that. And you just have to be stubborn enough to make it through that window of time when you're not really any good and everybody else is. And I would guess that, I don't know, I would guess that a lot of people don't make it through that period of time. They just give up and say, maybe this isn't my sport. I'm going to go do something that I can win at. But it does start to come together. And then before you know it, you're driving down the road in your car, and you're doing arm wrestling motions with your free hand while you're driving. You're pushing a shopping cart around in the grocery store, and you're thinking of it like it's an arm wrestling opponent or something like this. So
Yes.
it definitely grows on you, man.
Yeah, I truly believe that we never really retire from arm wrestling. It's just once you get the bug and you're in it for a few years, I feel like you just, you're in it for life, man. And that's one of the great things about this sport, man. And I just really appreciate all you're doing, man. I won't keep you. I really appreciate you coming on the show on Friday night, man, and telling everybody about the event. Super excited, really grateful for this opportunity. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person and hanging out and really shocking the world.
It's going to be a good time, man. I'm sure that there's going to be fireworks one way or another. There's going to be fireworks. So I'm really looking forward to it. And same thing, man, hanging out with everybody. No problem at all. I appreciate you having me.
Awesome, brother. Have a great night, and I'll be talking to you soon.